The very first chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen introduced us to our main character, Itadori Yuji, on a routine visit to his hospitalized grandfather. His last presumably surviving kin were also unknowingly making our first meeting with what it means to be cursed. After devouring the wax finger of Ryomen Sukuna and seemingly becoming blessed with the 1 out of a million chance of being a vessel, it seemed, even to the current patriarch of the sorcery world, Satoru Gojo, an amazing coincidence. Itadori Yuji gets to live, and given the purpose of finding all 20 fingers and ingesting them, will be able to leave a heroic mark on the world by perishing with all essence of the King of Curses within him. After embarking on this journey and immersing himself fully into Jujutsu High School, Itadori Yuji experiences friendship, he experiences pain, he experiences death. Yuji experiences loss, anger, victory, and teamwork. But ultimately, after a long road of discrimination, Yuji managed to find, or rather insert himself very well, into sorcery life. Fascinatingly easy for someone who supposedly had no attachment to the sorcery world. With the information we know now regarding Kenjaku being involved with Yuji's conception, it's possible that Itadori Yuji was crafted perfectly to be a great fit for the demon lord Sukuna. Although, the mastermind Kenjaku doesn't seem all too interested in this experiment. It's possible this wasn't Yuji's purpose after all. Whether Yuji is a reincarnated vessel from the Heian era, or meant to be a well-fit cage to Sukuna for all eternity, what concerns Itadori is the philosophy he himself has constructed. After the tragedies of the Shibuya incident and tackling his arch nemesis Mahito, Itadori makes a revelation he was hiding for a long time. Yuji, all this time, has exercised curse spirits without a second thought, shamelessly control-alt-deleting every curse that has come his way, just as Mahito, Yuji's polar opposite, has strived to pillage and curse the people of Japan to his own twisted heart's content. They are both merely cogs in a system, a cycle of curses slaying humans and humans retaliating by exorcising them. And if this is where Itadori finds himself, as long as it means he can fight for his friends, and most importantly, end Mahito's life, Yuji will play this role without hesitation, confidently trudging along and butting heads with any who might throw a wedge in the gears of fate, having to live every day knowing Sukuna used his body to commit a massacre of such volume. This becomes the only thing that convinces Itadori he can still walk among the living, his only justification for being alive. However, regardless of how selfless or amount of better good this behavior amounts to, this mindset of being a cog proves utterly detrimental to Yuji as a whole. While giving him the drive to carry on, it also causes him to cast his self-worth into the garbage, outright admitting to Higuruma, during a trial in which it's in Yuji's best interest to find his own self innocent, that he is guilty of the Shibuya crime. Yuji would have lost his life in that exact moment had Higuruma not taken pity on his soul. Again, we see the horrid fruits that are born out of this self-deprecation when Yuji's enchained vow with Sukuna, strictly prohibiting the King of Curses from harming anyone, excludes specifically the vessel itself, showing that Yuji doesn't even consider himself someone worth protecting, only everybody around him. Ironically, this brings me to the overall point of the theory, all the way back in chapter 1, amongst all the different foreshadowing we receive. Besides Megumi's toads being marked with Sukuna's tattoos to predict Sukuna's eventual takeover, and little remarks like Yuji's grandfather's, the terrible truth is, regardless of every single bit of tinkering Kenjaku has created in the background, Yuji has been cursed from the very beginning, not since birth, but since the very first chapter of the story. In an interview with Gege Akutami, the author and cat deity confirmed when asked if he's already thought about who out of the main cast will survive. Gege responded with this: "I haven't decided yet. Either only one of them will go, or everyone but one of them will go." Itadori Yuji, the cog in the cycle of curse extermination, the man who swore to Mahito when he returns from the cursed realm as a reborn curse, that he'll be waiting to exorcise him on the other side, the man whose body was crafted to be special from the very beginning, powerful enough to hold even the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer in history, Ryomen Sukuna, may serve an even grander purpose than Kenjaku could have ever envisioned. Yuji's grandfather's final words were this: "When it's your time to go, make make sure you're surrounded by others, intended to stop his grandson from dying a lonely way like he himself will. The horrifying possibility here is that by saying these final wishes to Itadori, Yuji's grandfather ended up placing a devilish curse on his grandson, one that has carved a linear path throughout fate for him that we've been walking down this entire time. When you take Akutami's interview answer and lay it over some of the terrible losses we've received over the course of the series, things start to line up. The loss of Junpei, Nanami, the questionable blow on Nobara, the subjugation of Megumi by Sukuna, and his sensei Gojo still being locked up in prison realm. Every single person Yuji has ever known and become close with has been snapped out of existence without even giving him any time to process. By the end of the story, instead of being able to go out with a good death like his grandfather wished, surrounded by plenty of loved ones, Itadori Yuji may be the only one of his original friend group left standing, cursed with having to end up just like his grandfather, despite all of his efforts to protect and fight for those closest to him. Ironically enough, the only one who ever ended up being saved would be Yuji himself. A horrifying fate to befall someone who has been begging for his own execution for almost an entire year, outliving everyone he would have given every single year of his own life to trade places with. We can even see the reality of this anger and madness taking hold of Yuji as he can now physically manifest it against the source of all his suffering, Sukuna himself. Regardless of the outcome of this fight, Megumi's fate, and what befalls Yuji, the curse his grandfather put on him could have grave consequences. And when this is paired with Yuji's declaration to be a cog that exercises curses for all time, this holds even scarier possibilities for the lone survivor at the end of Jujutsu Kaisen. What if Yuji not only outlives all his friends, but is cursed to actually and literally exercise curses forever? Have you ever wondered why Sukuna looks just like Itadori, despite being confirmed by Akutami in interviews that he is not related to Itadori in any way, nor does Sukuna have any descendants he's ever reproduced? What made Itadori's bloodline so special that Kenjaku would want to get his cheeks clapped to handpick a baby boy? We know now that Sukuna, like Kenjaku, is also capable of body hopping, and if theories about Sukuna's bath being a way to permanently quell the consciousness in an original body and make it the property of the possessor, perhaps the reason Sukuna looks just like Yuji and why Kenjaku was interested in the Itadori bloodline is because way back in the past, Sukuna originally body hopped into one of Itadori Yuji's ancestors. Boom! It would explain why Sukuna looks just like Yuji, why Kenjaku would seek out Jin Itadori and Kaori Itadori to manipulate their spawn, as well as why Yuji has a natural resistance to Sukuna's soul. It's a generational connection. Now, given Itadori's high potential to be a vessel, perhaps Sukuna was merely a temporary prisoner. What if Kenjaku's heights set for Yuji are even higher, becoming a vessel of a cursed spirit created out of 1 million souls? Or perhaps Yuji's superior body allows him to achieve a similar ascension like Tengen, taking his place in Japan to support the cursed barrier. Either scenario granting Yuji with eternal life against his will. This is obviously where my theory starts to lose steam and venture off into headcanon land, but if you smell what I'm cooking, leave a huge like on the video and comment below letting me know if you think this is plausible or just outright ridiculous. I appreciate you if you made it this far into the video. Please consider becoming a member of the channel. Thanks again for being you. Second reminder to leave a like, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace.